All right, so now we'll see a different Petrosian.
Yeah, we see the different Petrosian because usually he played very positionally. Here he had the possibility to attack, and you'll see what happens. I mean,
and he took it.
He took it, and a very nice tactical game. Okay, so here he introduced this idea with a3 against this Queen's Indian. Finally, the whole variation will be called Petrosian variation, or for white. I mean, with a3.
This move.
Everybody else played, like this. Even Kasparov and Portish and Karpov and myself and so on, all the strongest grandmasters accepted the fact that the idea for white is very good, You'll see. Black has the possibility. In that time, of course, when nobody knew it and they played for the first time and so, you could go wrong almost in any position with black, you see, if you want to equalize very quickly, you see. So, okay, this is the main line.
So now, just to avoid the b4?
To avoid immediately bishop b4. Check or the bishop b4 in any position.
Petrosian
This is the idea, yeah. Usually the alternatives instead of a3 is to play e3 or g3. Normal lines. Okay. So bishop is 7. So now check first in b5 is very good. Now it's very good to give check because knight d7 or knight c6 already bad for black. If you play like this, you lose very quickly. For instance, after knight c6, you can almost resign after knight e5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So queen d6, for instance, is very bad mistake. Well, very bad mistake. After knight e4, you resign.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see. So the first moment you could go wrong. Of course, knight c6 is bad mistake, no? So c6, the good move. Now the bishop goes back, but it's already a small advantage for white, you see. So now c5, he wants to free himself very quickly, immediately, So now you take in d5. Now if you take with the pawn, you have some weaknesses later on, you see. So he takes only with the queen. Okay, he takes with the queen because if he takes with the bishop, you have Isolani in c5, you see. He takes immediately in c5 and you are forced to take with the pawn probably. And then you have a weak pawn in c5. Right. Okay, he takes there. Now you take in c5. He takes with the queen. With the bishop. With the bishop is my game against Karpov. My game against Karpov, the same super tournament from Moscow in 81. Now the difference now, bishop takes. My game with Karpov, yeah? Takes. And now, very strong move, bishop b5 check. Again, you have the chance to go wrong. Bishop c6, the normal move. Bishop c6, again, bad for black. White takes now in d5. You are forced to take with the pawn, and now he goes back with the bishop in e2, and you have weak pawn in d5. Very easy to play for white. Big advantage for white, This highest level, you have many problems with black. You can lose in every position. You see? The idea for white very, very simply. He wants to play b4, bishop b2, rook d1. This is the idea, Or rook c1, castle, and the other rook in d1. And he has complete control, and you don't have any play with black, you see. Probably against a very strong player, you are lost with black, you see. So now, by chance, I don't know if it was analyzed from Karpov, but after bishop takes c5, bishop b5 check, he found a fantastic move, which is logical, but it's very unusual. King e7 without castle,
King e7.
King e7. Okay, he made a draw finally because he was Karpov and I accepted draw, but
King e7.
King e7. Even now, white is a little bit better, by playing simple queen e2, castle, and bishop d2, bishop c3. Better for white in any point. It was our game, but finally it was a draw. He proposed draw and I accepted. But here, before playing king e7, he was thinking 50 minutes. So probably it was not analysis.
It was a surprise for him.
Yeah, he was very surprised. Yeah. So, okay, coming back to this game, he took with the queen. And now, bishop d2. Simple, Petrosian. Small advantage, But the best moves, you see, of course. Now he played queen where? He took queen d6. Okay, here maybe it was possible to play the queen in h5. Maybe, Still better for white, of course, but it was another possibility.
Like Karpov.
like Karpov. But here it was different because after queen h5, he can play immediately queen a4, you know. And it's unpleasant for black, you know, what to do. If you go with rook c8 normal, then he comes back with the bishop in e4 or the bishop in b5. Attacks 3 times in c6, you know.
Yeah.
And many problems for black, you see. So, okay, so he played normal queen d6. After queen c2, rook c8, of course, now. Castle. And now, what to do? h6, of course. He can't castle because he loses the attacking chances, no? So now rook d1, again, very easy. Now you can't move the knight because if you move the knight in d4 or somewhere, you know, he can sacrifice the queen, you know. Even, he can do even this, you know.
Why?
Because you are almost mate, you know. If you lose 3 pieces for the queen, is losing for black, you know. So what to do? So you play normal, you know, castle, of course. So bishop c3. Now the result. We have a middle game here, clearly better for white, you know, because he controls all the central squares. He has some attacking chances, and he threatens already to take you the queen with bishop h7 check. Now you have already a position you have to be very careful with black, you know.
Yes.
So what did he play? Queen b8. Well, here the alternative was to accept the fact that he's a little bit worse and come back to this idea, queen c5 and then queen h5. Probably it was better, you know. Because now in that game, the queen from b8 will be a little bit too far, you see, until the end of the game. The queen is a little bit too far away, you see. So now, okay, white is coming. I mean, he wants to do something quickly on the king side. I mean, very logical, you know. Queen a4, rook d8, and now the queen comes to e4. Okay, you have to have a weakness now because g6 the only move. Otherwise, if he gives you one check, he resigns, you know. So g6, all right. So from here, he has such a position where he's practically forced to attack, you know, Petrosian, because he has such a nice position, he has to attack to demonstrate that he's winning, you know, or he plays for a win.
So no more...
no, it's not more positional play. He is forced to play, you know, tactical play to attack, you know. So we'll see the result. It's not very difficult. It's very beautiful because it's Petrosian for white, you know. Usually he doesn't play like this, you see. So, all right, queen g4, very logical, of course. Now he wants to give you a piece. I mean, immediately, if he has time to take in g6, you resign immediately, you know. Mate, you know. So, h5. Now he goes back to h3. Okay, it seems that the queen is a little bit far, but here he wants to play immediately, if it's possible, g4. If he has time to play g4, you resign again. Because mate in 1 in h8, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what to do? f5. But f5 is a little bit too much because too many weaknesses, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now again, very logical. Bishop c4. Again, what to do here with black? King f7, the only move. If you don't play, I mean, he has to take once. Has to take, and now he had to play king f7 or knight d8. If he played knight d8, then he gives the possibility to come with the knight in e5. Also, fantastic control. Lost position for black, you see. So king f7, he hopes to keep somehow the position, you know. After e4, that is the signal that he wants to attack, you know, the decisive attack. I tell you, it's not complicated. You know, every strong grandmaster wins such a position. But we see the demonstration coming from Petrosian. You know.
It's a very positional player.
e4. Okay, now black. This is the last hope. Queen f4 is a very good move, the best decisive move, defensive move. Now he controls, you know, the fourth rank, and it seems that you have to lose one tempo to prepare the attack. You know, rook e1 is an excellent move. Okay, so now you have to take in e4 or play like in their game, queen g4. This was the hope, you know. Now if white has to accept in good conditions to trade queens, maybe he can escape, you know. But it's too late, you know. And from here, he starts the final attack, you know. So he takes in f5. And of course, he has to take only in c4, because if he took in h3, white takes first in e6, and then he takes in bishop. No, bishop takes e6 check. You move the king, and then he captures in h3, and the position is destroyed. He attacks the rook, he attacks the pawn. Well, finished.
Yeah.
So okay, he takes the bishop. What the last hope, but it's too late, I tell you. And now the final attack. Takes in g6. You can't take in g6 because it will be mate finally. So you have to run away with the king. Okay, so g7. Very logical. What can you do?
You want to queen?
Well, he wants to queen, of course. Now what to do? e5. What happens now if he played, for instance, king d7? No, it seems that queen d7 is all right.
Yeah.
But after queen d7, rook d1 check. What can you do? And now after king c7, queen g3 check, mate. Or if you play e5 and you are not mated, he makes a queen, but it's mate finally, because you can't escape with the king.
Yes.
One check is enough. All right, so e5. e5 was the only hope, you see, e5. And now, again, the final attack, check. Now you can't play queen f7 because g8, check, finish.
Yeah.
So king d7, forced. Rook d1 check, again, very unpleasant. The last, again, after, if he played there, it was one check, again, decisive, So bishop d6, okay, bishop d6, bishop takes e5. Decisive attack, Piece up for black, but completely lost position,
Give up the queen here, I guess.
Well, he took with the knight, the simplest way, And black resigned here, no?
Now black resigned.
Now he resigned. It's completely over, the game. All kind of threats, Queen g4 check, queen f5 check, bishop takes d6. The terrible position here. Not only the fact that he loses immediately with the g7 pawn, but catastrophe for black, you see.
Yeah. So.
Fantastic game. But
Petrosian
I tell you, very logical. If Tal played such a game or anybody else, nobody was surprised. But from Petrosian was a small surprise because everybody knew that he preferred by far, to realize a small advantage. But here he was, the attraction was too big. I mean, he had such a fantastic position that he accepted the fact that he has to show his skill, in attacking chances, and he took it and he won a very nice game. Very beautiful game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Demonstration practically, Also against a very strong opponent because Smyslov was a very, very strong grandmaster.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
Yeah.